welcome back to another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I am your host, Anthony Gamer, and in today's episode, we are going to discuss more Laserdisc games. In a previous episode, actually one I did a couple years ago, I discussed some great arcade Laserdisc games, and I'm going to continue it with this episode. In this one, we're going to discuss a good majority of the games that were made by the company called American Laser Games. And we're also going to have a really cool game at the end that actually, had you wanted to play the game back in the early 80s when it came out, it would have cost you over $3,000 to play. How was this possible? Well, wait to the end and find out. When Dragon's Lair, the interactive Laserdisc video game, was released in 1983, it became an overnight success. Not only was the game loved by fans, but it became a financial success as well. There were so many people that went out and played the game, and of course, the game made a lot of money. It actually went on to become the second most ported game in history. And of course, game developers noticed this, and they decided to jump on to the Laserdisc or full motion video game genre. The games that would come after it weren't as big of a financial success as the original Dragon's Lair, and some arcade owners were reluctant to purchase these games for their arcades for a couple reasons. One, because the machines themselves were quite expensive, and two, they were known to break down. There was nothing worse than going to an arcade and seeing one of the games you really wanted to play with an out-of-order sticker on it. And because these games were expensive for the owners of the arcade, they would usually charge a lot more to play the game than you would get with a regular game. So if you wanted to play Donkey Kong and it was 25 cents, you're probably more likely to play Donkey Kong as opposed to Us versus Them, which may have cost you $1 to play. However, this didn't stop game developers from jumping on this bandwagon. One of the most successful of these game developers had to be American Laser Games that came out in the late 80s. And this company was founded by a gentleman named Robert Grebe, who had created a system to train police officers using a similar technology. And he decided that, well, let's try this out in the video game market. So he decided, majority of these games that he made were light gun shooter games, and they each met with various degrees of success. So, without further ado, let's get into some of those amazing games. And the first game we're going to discuss is probably the most well-known and the most successful of all these games, and that is Mad Dog McCree. In this game, you take on the role of an unnamed silent protagonist that is coming into an Old West town to save it from a bad outlaw named Mad Dog McCree and his gang. Now, when this game was made, unfortunately, Mr. Grebe didn't have a whole lot of money, so he actually filmed this in an Old West town somewhere in New Mexico, and got some friends, family, and local people to take on the role of the different actors. So, yes, there were not any well-known actors in this game. I know the acting in this game is, it's kind of really cheesy, but overall the game is a whole lot of fun. So you go from different areas in the town, and you have to be quick on the draw and shoot some of the outlaws and try to save the mayor and his daughter, and of course eliminate Mad Dog McCree, who was played by a local rancher named Rusty Dillon. And his wife actually takes on a small role as the girl in the bar. Overall, the game has been a big success and was ported out several times to different game systems. And like most ports, some of them were pretty good, others of them not so great, to be honest with you. I remember as a kid playing this in the arcade, and I think it was like 50 cents to play the game overall, for each time. And of course, all these games that I'm going to be playing today are on the best Laserdisc emulator of all, and no, I'm not talking about Daphne, I'm talking about Singe. Singe is a free-to-use, really awesome Laserdisc game emulator. You get a chance to check it out, do so. The files themselves aren't really as big as you may think they are, especially for those that have ran Laserdisc games on MAME. And as you can see, the quality of the screen is really, really good. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for some of the various ports for this. The port that I played the most as a kid was the one on DOS, and it was sometimes subject to skips and stuff like that. One of the highest rated ones, though, had to be for the PS3 that got about a 60%. The Wii version is really good, but is kind of on the valuable side. The version I liked and that I had the most fun with had to be for the 3DS, which I thought actually turned out pretty well. If you haven't had a chance to play this game, I highly recommend it. It's really a whole lot of fun, and if you did play it back in the day, share some of your memories with me. I'd really like to hear them.
The cops have closed the file on this.
The next year, they would release Who Shot Johnny Rock. This is another full-motion video Laserdisc game. Oh, that's a mouthful. And, of course, you would use a gun with this one, too. Now, the game is set in the Hollywood version of 1930 Chicago, where one plays a private detective that has been hired to find out who murdered a nightclub singer named Johnny Rock. The player must attempt to reach Johnny Rock's killer, shooting villains and interrogating individuals. The game takes the player through the gangs of 4 gangsters with suggestive names. And you go through different locations like a warehouse, a pool hall, a garage, and a casino. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I liked the first game. Mad Dog McCree. This would also get ported out in various places as well, like for DOS, Sega CD, Philips CDI, the 3DO, and an interactive multiplayer for on DVD. Again, they were okay for the most part. To be honest with you, though, unless you had a light gun, playing these games on like the Sega CD, the CDI, and the 3DO, just with a regular controller, it just didn't work for any of these games that I'm going to list. I'm not sure if any of them had light guns. I believe the Philips CDI did. But of course, in this day and age, you cannot play with a light gun unless you have an old television. And of course, playing with Singe is the only way to go to really experience these games how they were meant to be played. In 1992, they would release Space Pirates. Now, this was actually the first one I played. I played this one, not in the arcade, but I played the MS-DOS port of it, which actually worked pretty well. I didn't get the skipping and the freezing like I did with Mad Dog McCree. Now, the story behind this one is that you take on the role of Star Ranger, who's unnamed, although they do refer to you as Star Ranger throughout the game. And you pick up and respond to a transmission by Ursula Sky, this commander of a starship called the Colonial Star 1. And they are being attacked by an evil gang of space pirates called the Black Brigade, led by a guy named Captain Talon. So, you have to go in there and save the captives, including Commander Sky herself, she's quite cute, and eliminate the space pirates. It's actually a pretty cool game, this one. It's almost like Mad Dog McCree set in outer space. Really had a lot of fun playing this game. I love the characters, I like the special effects. And again, the acting, of course, was cheesy, but, who cares? Overall, it was probably one of my most favorite of all these games, and one that I return to from time to time.
You think you're tough enough
the same year, they would release Mad Dog McCree 2: The Lost Gold. Now, in this version, you could tell they had a little bit better of a budget, as the sets were really, really cool in this one, and overall, it was like a step up from the first game. Now, in this one, you once again take on the role of an anonymous stranger, and this time you are going around and taking out Mad Dog McCree and his gang. This time you pick out the prospector from the original game is back and played by Ben Zucker, who also made an appearance on Space Pirates. You pick one of 3 guards, Buckskin Bonnie, the Professor, and the Shooting Beaver, and they take you along to different places in the game. You're hunting out treasure, you're getting in shootouts. It's really a great game, and a proper sequel to an already legendary game. It also was ported out several times, again with various degrees of success. One of the most well-known ports, or probably like the most famous, I would say, has to be the one for the Wii, because when you purchased this, you got not only Mad Dog McCree 1, but you got the second one as well. But like I said earlier, it's a little on the valuable side, so Overall, like I said, a really fun game. Probably, like I said, just one of the best of them as far as special effects and the sets. It's just a masterpiece. In 1993, they would release Crime Patrol. Now, this is quite similar to the program that Mr. Grebe had created to help train police officers, as you have to take on the role of an officer and know who to shoot and who not to shoot. Overall, the game is really a lot of fun, and it gets difficult really fast, but for those who always wanted to play a police shooter type game, you're really going to enjoy this one. Now, it was ported out several different places as well. Again, with various degrees of success. There were supposed to be ports for the Atari Jaguar CD, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn, but they were canceled. The 3DO, not too bad, but overall, like I said, it's just a cool game that you really have to either play in the arcade or on Singe to get the full effect of.
It's a stench of drugs.
That same year, they would release Crime Patrol 2 Drug Wars. Now, this one, you are a member of the DEA, and your goal is to track down and detain or eliminate a dangerous drug baron. And he's quite similar to that of Tony Montana from from Scarface, excuse me. I was having a brain fart there. Also kind of resembles that of Razor Ramon, the character Scott Hall played in his WWE days. Not a bad game, honestly, though. This one, yeah, the sheriff you work alongside can be quite annoying, and you really want to shoot him sometimes too, but overall, it's not a bad game. This one's a little bit more difficult than the original Crime Patrol, and you've got to be really fast on the draw on this one. So, it was also ported out a few times, again, to the 3DO, the CEI, and was put out on DVD as well. And PC. Now, on the PC, again, you can use the mouse, which makes it a lot easier. Like I said, the 3DO, yeah, the less said about that, the better. But eventually, we will discuss the 3DO and some of the cool games that will release for that system. Overall, I would say this is probably like my least favorite of all the games, but you know, it kind of grows on you with time. I'm kind of glad I didn't play this in the arcade because I really wanted to put like $1 each time to play it. And my final game from American Laser Games is The Last Bounty Hunter. This was released in 1994. In this game, the player steps in the shoes of an anonymous bounty hunter who rides into a busy town in order to track down and bring to justice 4 outlaws whose control over the territory is widespread. So it's kind of like Mad Dog McCree on a much higher level. This game was ported out as well several different places to the usual ones that I've discussed already, with various degrees of success, although honestly the reviews were not that great for the ports of this. Overall, it's a pretty fun game and definitely the most difficult, as it takes quite a while to get used to the fast draw because these guys don't mess around. They will not hesitate to shoot you, so you got to be quick on the draw on this one. But overall, the effects, the sets, and everything is really great in this game. As I said, this would be the last American Laser Games that I am going to review for this episode. The other ones, I couldn't find a working ROM. They have not yet been added to Singe as of when I record this video in March of 2024. Maybe they got added later. And the company itself would go under in the late 90s. They would put out, like I said, a few other games with that. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not able to review now. And it seemed by the late 90s, the whole full motion video light gun game market kind of bottomed out anyway. So these games have pretty much gone on to legendary status, especially that of Mad Dog McCree, and have been enjoyed by gamers of the newer generations. If you played any of these games back in the day or still like to play them from time to time, let me know about it in the comments section below. I'd really like to hear what you have to say. And now for our final game today. It's called Adventures in Videoland Roller Coaster, and all this information comes from kangaroopunch.com. Thank you for your help, guys. Now, this game was written and published in Creative Computing Magazine in January of 1982. This game was programmed by a gentleman named David Lubar, and this is the earliest known Laserdisc-based video game. Now, in order to play this game back in the day, you had to have a few different things. So, you had to have, and again, this has all been verified, you had to have 2 televisions, you needed an Apple II computer, an RF modulator, a floppy drive, a Laserdisc player, an interface card, and the movie. The movie itself was called Roller Coaster, that was released in 1977. And adding all that together, it would have cost you $3,549 back in the day. And in today's money, that's around $10,000. That's a lot for just one game. And is the game really all that? Well, let's check it out. Okay, so what's the game about? Well, in this one, you are trying to stop this disaster from happening as somebody has placed a bomb on a roller coaster. Again, coming from the movie from 1977, and you are trying to prevent it. Now, as you can see, it uses a lot of the footage from the game, from the movie in the game, but it's actually just a text adventure. Yeah, it's kind of along the same lines of Death in the Caribbean, but yeah, and so you can play it now on your own computer with Singe, of course, and a lot of work went into making this. Thankfully, you don't need 2 monitors to play it, but yeah, a $3,000-some game? I think not. Yeah, when you could play something similar, like I said, like Death in the Caribbean, or even the Zort games, or that Dark Crystal game they made for the Apple computers. Oh yeah, but again, it was technically the first Laserdisc game of its time, so you can head over and get the Singe emulator, and the ROM is available on that website. I will link it in the description below, and try this extremely expensive game out for yourself. After you play it, let me know what you think in the comments below. In our next episode, we're going to continue discussing more prototypes for the NES. Well, that brings this episode of Classic Gamer 74 to a close. I really hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. If you did, let me know by giving me a great big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload any new videos. And I am very happy to let you guys know that I finally have some Classic Gamer 74 gear. Yep. You can head over to teespring.com. I will have the link in the description below where you can get some t-shirts, bags, sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies with various different designs, all of them designed by John at Dutch Island Games. Thank you very much, John. You've been a big help to this channel in many ways. He also designed the very cool logo that you see at the beginning and end of the videos. And if you go to my website now to purchase this cool gear, if you put in the code CG74, you'll get 10% off your first order. I'm going to have an unboxing, hopefully in a month or so, where I'll show you what some of this gear looks like. But please be generous and help me out and get some really cool gear and support this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Well, until next time, this has been Anthony Gamer. Have yourselves a great week. And until I see you again, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy. And above all, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and stop hate of all kinds. See you guys soon. Bye for now.